Okay, before I gush about this game, I just want to say that I'm sorry for the lack of content. I was occupied with editing a Helldivers video, and long story short, part of it got deleted and I lost all my progress on it, and I frankly don't have it in me to edit it all over again. But on a completely different note, Pokemon Pokopia is a game that has been taking the cozy game space by storm, and for good reason. But to see that, we need to go back to when it first got announced in the September Direct of 2025. You know, the one where Nintendo announced the $50 Kirby amiibo. Where after they showed the Metroid Prime 4 trailer and Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, it then cut to one of the most what the frick announcements I've ever seen. Listen, I wasn't saying it was bad, it's just the only thing I could think about this game was, what? And that seemed to be the consensus from other people, but I still think the game looked promising. So, while we were waiting for more info, we got a new trailer that showed off a Tangrowth Pokemon as a professor, sure, why not? And then, Nintendo hosted a Treehouse Live showcasing Pokopia and the Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder. And this was the moment that made me think, this game actually might be worth checking out. And the feeling only grew after hearing very positive things from people who previewed the game. And then the reviews dropped, and what followed was one of the highest reviewed Pokemon games in years. Getting 9s and 10s from journalist sites across the board, and getting a starting score of 90 on Metacritic and selling a whopping 2.2 million copies in the first 4 days of release. With some people saying this game is better than Animal Crossing and one of the best in the cozy game genre. But enough about the critics, I hear you saying. Box, what do you think of the game? Well, before I answer, I should say that I'm an avid enjoyer of the cozy game genre, mostly with Animal Crossing. I've dabbled in Stardew Valley and some others, but I mostly play Animal Crossing. But answering the question, is Pokopia good? No. It's freaking incredible. I am only about 20 hours in, and I can tell that this game is special and already one of the best games of 2026. Now, as I said, I haven't experienced all that this game has to offer, which I've been told that I'm gonna have to play 60 from upwards of 100 hours, so I'm barely scratching the surface here. But I need to talk about this game because, oh my gosh, it's so good, you guys. So, you start the game as a Ditto who's trying to remember your trainer, and based off of loose details, you try to transform into what they looked like, even though you didn't get it quite right. And after customizing your Ditto, you are quickly acquainted with Professor Tangrowth, who's been living in the surrounding area. This is when you find out that all of the humans and most of the Pokemon have disappeared, with Tangrowth telling you that he hasn't seen any humans for quite some time. And the land around you is desolate, dry, and quite frankly dead. But no time to oogle at yellow grass, because look, we found a Pokemon that needs our help. Squirtle is all dried up, and so with a little brainstorming, we learned to spray him with some good old H2O. And with our water gun learned, we can now make the surrounding area a lot more greener. And I'm gonna be honest, at first, part of this game felt like it was just grass watering simulator, and that sounds pretty boring, but it was probably the most addictive thing to me since, I don't know, Balatro? And the more grass you water, the more Pokemon you'll meet, because another thing introduced to you is habitats. By arranging patches of vegetation and other miscellaneous items, you can attract new Pokemon depending on the environment. And depending on the Pokemon, they can teach you a new ability to add to your arsenal, like Bulbasaur teaching you to uproot grass with leafage, and Scyther teaching you how to chop up wood using razor-sharp blades, and Drillbur showing you how to till fields and grow crops. It's honestly kind of genius how they took these Pokemon attacks and have you use them to cultivate the environment, and reshaping it using Hypnochan's punching move. And also, they gave my boy Magikarp purpose, because after you build him a fishing spot habitat down by the beach, he teaches you how to jump. Oh my gosh, jumping in a game like this? Yeah, suck it, Animal Crossing. Okay, that's a bit too far. Now, with all these abilities, you then start to grow the environment while making more habitats to attract more Pokemon, and even building houses for said Pokemon. Now, I should also speak on this. How you build structures is similar to Animal Crossing, but instead of just gathering materials, you also have to gather certain Pokemon with specific skills to help build them. And the time of completion is also like Animal Crossing. With building a house or a Pokemon Center, you have to wait an actual day for it to be completed. Oh, and speaking of Pokemon Centers, as you survey the surrounding area, you come across the ruins of a demolished Pokemon Center, and Professor Tangrowth has an idea to rebuild it as an attempt to have humans come back. And there are some missions that you are required to complete in order to actually construct it, and I don't want to spoil a lot of the plot points, but some of the stuff you have to do is just barely hinging on being silly, but also is grounded enough to make you go, okay, sure. But I was never bored when playing through it. I was always intrigued. Crafting is also here, and it's basically like Animal Crossing New Horizons. There's not really anything that's different when it comes to that. But when it comes to removing and adding terrain, I will say at some points the controls when it came to this felt a little clunky, but this game has a trick up its sleeve with mouse mode. Oh my gosh, this is a game changer. Look, I think the concept of Switch 2 mouse mode is cool, but I only use it for Balatro and not much else. But Pokopia? If I'm not on the go, playing with split Joy-Cons to use mouse mode is my favorite way to play now. But I do wish that they went a bit further with it, because when you open your inventory, you have to navigate it with the sticks, even if you're playing in mouse mode. But this is just nitpicking at this point, nothing really worth complaining about at the end of the day. Now, I should also talk about this game's structure, because when I say this game gives you a lot of stuff to do, I mean it. After restoring the surrounding area and rebuilding the Pokemon Center, you then receive a notification from your Pokedex that your trainer rank went up, and because of that, you can access 2 mysterious gates that lead to new areas. One of them is a dingy mining town covered in volcanic ash, and the other is a cloudy beach that you can't tell if it's day or night. But with all of that stuff said, I really don't know what else to talk about with this game. The devs put so much care into this, and it clearly shows. If you love these types of games, I highly recommend this game. I've spent 20 hours on this game, and I'm going to spend a lot more time on it before I'm done. That's enough from me. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!